the final of the Traitors, it was Frankie versus Charlotte. All started when Frankie was the overseer and she picked Charlotte to reveal her true identity. Frankie's going in there with good faith, bless her heart, thinking it's just going to be a kiki between her and her fellow faithful. Her jaw dropped when the card revealed that Charlotte was a traitor and looked up, and Charlotte is looking back up at her like, yeah, bitch, you can't, man. And what you gonna do with it? Charlotte basically warns her like, you don't know about me, bitch. I'm a crafty bitch and it's your word against mine. So it's best that you keep quiet. Charlotte said, you better keep your mouth closed. That was such an unrealistic request, but her conviction, I rate it, Charlotte. Frankie's just looking at her like, oh my God, you fucking bitch. What have I put myself forward for? So breakfast comes, they're all at the table. They ask Frankie, well, what went on, girl? But Frankie's already moving shifty. She's whispering in Jake's ear, traitor, indicating that Charlotte is a traitor. And Charlotte can already sense the vibes. Obviously, she warned Frankie to keep her mouth shut. But Charlotte knows that's not a realistic option. Charlotte knew it was going to be tit for tat. He said, she said. So if I was a traitor, I'd probably want to get ahead of whatever Frankie was going to say. And that's exactly what Charlotte did. Frankie's walking in like she's seen a ghost. And everybody's like, well, who is it? Who did you ask and what did they say? Charlotte pipes up with a big smile on her face. She's like, yeah, she picked me. Obviously, the card said that I was a faithful. And I said that I was a faithful. Right, Frankie? And Frankie was just like, girl, wow, you're really good at this bit. She was like, actually, no. It said that you were a traitor. Instant awkwardness at the breakfast table but I would be excited. I would have been like, oh, yeah. I would have been so relieved not to be in that mess. Obviously, the rest of the contestants are flabbergasted and they're kind of like, well, shit, who's telling the truth? And it seems like everyone didn't know what to think. They were very conflicted because they were both, it seemed like there was a general consensus that both Charlotte and Frankie were faithful. And it seems like the only one who has a definitive answer in who's telling the truth is Alexander, because, you know, he's Frankie's little pet, or at least wants to be. See, poor Frankie, she's fighting for her life. But Charlotte is putting on the performance of a lifetime. Someone needs to get her a role. She's got the crying, she's doing the serious, she's trying to laugh it off. She's doing everything. I would say like 95% of it was believable, but I think there was like a little part of it where it did feel like a dramatic performance, where it didn't feel as believable as Frankie. But I just feel like coming into it as a faithful, quite frankly, I wouldn't really care who was saying the truth or not, because both of you gotta go. Both of you gotta go, especially since we can't reveal, the contestants can't reveal who they are at this point, like whether they're faithful or a traitor. Both of you are gonna have to go. It's just a matter of who's going first. So immediately I kind of knew they were both going down with this ship. You know, I thought maybe one of them might be able to convince them to share the money, and maybe that someone would be Frankie if she survived the round table. But I think it was incredibly clear that they were both going down with this ship, because a logical person just would not risk the money. Who I don't, you know, they've known each other a month. Are they going to put their trust in them like, oh, just on a whim, when like you two are under great suspicion and clearly one of you is a traitor? Why would I risk gambling when I could just get both of you out, Dad? Get to the round table, and I think that they both have good arguments, but I feel like Charlotte didn't have enough emotion in there. I feel like when she's in argument mode, when she's in defensive mode on the round table, she just has like the same type of character, and that character lacks emotion, so it's kind of hard to emotionally invest in her argument. Whereas Frankie, sincerity there with her being a bit emotional. Do you get what I mean? I feel like that was lacking from Charlotte, like her appeal, her emotional appeal. There was just an air of Charlotte that felt very calculated. But personally, I think she argued quite well, and I think she did well to dump other people in it, namely Alexander. I think she definitely stitched Alexander up as well as Frankie. But she really did fight till the end, and I thought it was going to be a close call, to be honest. when it came to the votes. I didn't think they were going to share the money with her. I think if she made it to the round table, they were definitely going to vote her out in terms of like the final banishments rounds. But I thought in the battle against Frankie and Charlotte, I think Charlotte put forward good theories, but so did Frankie. So I don't know. I think maybe I would have been a sheep and maybe talked to the other faithfuls before and see what they were going to vote. Because to me, it was, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I think I would have voted for Charlotte. Just like I said, she has this air of calculation, and I would have been voting for Frankie anyway in the final round. Um, But I thought maybe Frankie would have gotten one vote. But Frankie did it. She won the battle against Charlotte, and it was a clean sweep for Charlotte in terms of vote. Of course, with the exception of her own vote, because of course she voted for Frank. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end for Frankie. She could not breathe after that, and Charlotte really stitched her up and tainted her name. And I think her being caught up in this, oh, she must be a traitor. No, she's a traitor. No, she's lying. No, she's lying, ruined her chances. Because like I said, even if I felt in my gut that you may be a faithful, I simply would not. Simply because A, I wouldn't want to take that risk, and two, like, that's cutting down the amount that I have to share. Like, sorry. Win-win. Honestly, impeccable gameplay from both of them. Frankie held her own. Charlotte held her own. It was theatre to watch. Splendid. What I got to hear from you guys. How did you feel about the whole pantomime of Frankie and Charlotte? Did you think Charlotte put in a good fight? Did you think Frankie put in a good fight? And ultimately, why do you think that Charlotte got voted off first? Do you think it was just a thing of they both had to go and it was just a coincidence that Charlotte went out first? Or do you feel like she was less believable than Frankie? I'd love to hear your thoughts.